Hello everyone and welcome to yet another podcast from Decision Points Coffee Table. Here we are with Abhishek, who is the Vice President and Product Head at Decision Point. Hi Abhishek.
Hey Ashish.
So today we are going to talk about building from scratch. So when we talk about building from scratch, so what should be the product development cycle that one should follow?
So, like the term itself says, like building from scratch, meaning that there are a lot of unknowns which you don't know. Maybe like other people in market who have done it before, they know it. But you are trying to build something for the very first time. So there are a lot of unknowns. So that leads to a lot of experimentations. That leads to a lot of failures. So you should be open to doing experimentations faster, thinking like getting onto that very fast sprint cycle, where you like fail fast and whatever succeed, you scale it fast. So the whole product dev cycle revolves around basically your experimentation, your appetite to ingest failure, and whatever succeed, even if like 1, 2, 3 things succeed, you latch onto it and then you scale it.
Okay, so if we see the journey of the product, its birth takes place from the gap in the market. So what will be the advice by you for the enterprises that are looking for that gap in the market?
So any product or any service, I would say, like not only revolves around gap, maybe you are totally inventing a new thing. So maybe you are Elon Musk, you are inventing going to Mars, which is not done before. But talking about other services which are mostly there in the market, you definitely have to look at what is the delta utility you are adding on top of status quo which already exists. Because any service, let's say, take anything very simple as delivery, right? Like somebody is coming and delivering a stuff to you. Maybe you are coming with a delivery through a drone. So you have to look at what is the delta utility I am adding, either in terms of like time efficiency, in terms of cost efficiency, which then becomes your value proposition for the end customer. If this delta utility is weak, or even though if you are building a product which adds a lot of value, but you are not able to convey it to your customers, then you are bound to fail. So I would say like anyone who is trying to like start fresh or trying to even build something new, they should thoroughly evaluate, and that also comes by experimentation. They should thoroughly evaluate what is the additional utility they are adding on the services or on the like general practices which are already there in the market.
Okay, so as we see, for a successful product, we need a successful team. So what will you personally be looking for in a team when you are building a product?
So definitely you need a strong team when you are building something new, especially when you are building something for the very first time from scratch. Is like they should have very high problem solving appetite, right? They should be able to identify problems. Solution comes as the next one. What is the problem in the existing status quo which is there in the market? Because unless you are able to do that, you don't know what to address, right? So, for example, the product which we are building, let's take example of that. I'll explain through that. Like in Beagle, what we identified that data was already there, prevalent everywhere, right? Means organizations are spending millions in building data warehouses, their data libraries. But there is a gap that this data is not getting consumed by the users. Right? This data is lying somewhere on the server in very fancy visualizations and all. This data is a passive data. It will only turn into action if you make it live, you bring it to the user already. So we thought identifying that this is a problem itself is a big task. Otherwise, you would be simply coming and building yet another BI tool. and there are hundreds of BI tools which already exist. So when I look for a team member, I see how keenly he is embedded into details to look for these problems, which then we can find a solution to. So solution finding part comes after that.
Okay, so once we have a team, so we need brainstorming for the features. So how do we brainstorm and come up with the new capabilities that makes our product stand apart from the competition?
There are multiple processes for that. You do a lot of competition benchmarking, also what others are doing versus what we are proposing. But at the end, the prioritization lies based on what value is it adding to the customer, not based on what we can build. That's a build trap. It's very easy to build things. You can hire a lot of people to build something for you, but ultimately what you build has to sell. It has to make sense for the end guy who is going to use it. So in our perspective, the prioritization thoroughly lies on what value we are adding to the customer, what's their maybe the highest priority needs which we are addressing.
Okay, so once we have made the product, we have the prototype. So what will be the next steps in testing that product in the market?
Take it to the customer, right? Because many organizations, we fail to do that. We are just bound by our own limitation, our own thinking that how can I take this unfinished thing to a customer? Customers are okay even when you draw something out on a napkin and show that to them that hey, we are building this. Do you think it will add value to your life? Do you think it will play some role in your life, ease out some of your load, ease out a cost which you are incurring on some of the services? So even I would say before building the prototype, when you are just at the ideation stage, discuss it with the customers, not one, not two, as many as you can. That will give you whether actually people want it or not, whether actually you should be even investing energy in building it or not. But as a general cycle in product also, whenever you have prototype something, let's say in Figma or something, before going to dev, before burning your dollars there, take it to the customer, give it to them, let them play with the prototype. They'll tell you what to build, what to not. Or you just observe them, you will know and whether it's going to really be a successful thing or not.
Okay, so as we talk of the customers, what will be the process that will be leading us to the right customers for our product?
So, especially when you are building something from new, when you are super successful, right? Everyone wants your product. They'll come to you, hey, I want this, I want this. But when you are new, you will have to identify your innovators, who really become your partners rather than your customers. And every product needs such innovators, right? So you build something, you would need someone to, let's say, give you a pilot project, which builds confidence on both fronts. Customers also sees with a small investment whether this is something which they would like to scale. And you, on the other hand, would gain the experience of working with the customer, knowing their need and thinking that whether I should then further scale it or should I check it, work on something else.
So after all this also, once we have the product, we have the customers, I think the work doesn't stop. So what according to you are the servicing advice for the product, once we have sold the product? What will be your advice after that?
Once we have sold the product, especially the software products, which in the industry which we are in, it doesn't stop there. Because your end goal should be, because you are selling to one entity, right? You are selling to either a procurement team or an IT team or a business team. But then comes the actual part where you have the users. So make your product successful for them. Keep talking to the actual end users who are using your product. So the practice which we follow for our products, once we have, let's say, launched in one enterprise, we then make the product customer council where we actually monitor the uses of our product, bring people in that concept to talk about what they felt right, what they would need next. So that then you like it's an innovation cycle for you. Then you keep innovating on top of that. Otherwise, it would be like first nobody would be bothered to use it. You have made your money once you have sold it. Customers, they have millions to spend on, but the actual users, they won't find the drive to use your product. But when they see that somebody cares for this and they're invested in making it better for me, for improving my life, then they would also spend their time and energy to give you real feedbacks that what is really working for them, what they really like, what they would need to get improved. And then that flows back to your thinking, your ideation on what next you should be doing for your product. So actually what I feel that even after like you have made the deal for a deployment or a launch, actual work starts after that. And you have to really get very cozy to your customers, users I would say, and keep talking to them as frequently as you can, to as many people as you can, and try to identify those themes which are emerging out, which then flows back into your ideation.
Okay, so after all your answers, actually, I personally have a lot of knowledge around building from scratch. So thank you so much, Abhishek, for a wonderful conversation.
Thanks, Ashish. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Okay, thank you so much.